Hey friend, Stephanie here from Brain and Farmette. This week, follow me on our first planting of sunflower seeds, and they are now little baby seedlings about ready to plant out into the field, and we've already done our second succession. But it's so fun to just talk through the process, talk through the sunflowers that we're growing, and we're so excited. Hey friend, it is 9:30 on Friday night. I am starting some sunflowers. I am starting with these 72 shell trays, but I'm having to cut them down. I'm cutting a row off and then cutting lips off because I thought they would fit in these bottom trays, but they don't. So I'm having to cut them off a little bit, but it's okay. I'm really excited about these sunflowers. I've never started sunflowers in trays before. And really the only reason that I'm doing it is because I want to try to get them a little bit earlier in the season than waiting. And because we're in this new property and it's a bit higher elevation and my last frost date is later than I've ever had a frost date be before, you know, it's just so many new variables that starting with transplants feels like a little more guaranteed. And I've got my nice new racks set up that have some room left, so I want to attempt this. Now I'm going to be planting my sunflowers 6 inches apart, which means that in my 3-foot by 12-foot beds, I can fit about 144 sunflowers. So I'm going to do 2 trays at once. Maybe you're wondering, what kind of sunflowers are you starting, Stephanie? Well, I am starting, I've never grown these before either, what's called a ProCut. So a ProCut is a single stem sunflower and daylight neutral, meaning it should still grow as the days get shorter later in the summer. I don't have to worry about that right now, but it's single stem. So once I cut it, that's it. I have to plant new ones. So I'm doing white light, which is a very light lemony yellow with a yellow center. So really nice, like early summer, hopefully. Hopefully nice colors for early summer. I am working out here in the garage on our workbench. This is a workbench Derek built a few months ago. I did a post about it, but it's really nice, like counter height for me in terms of like starting seeds, not bending over all over the place. So I'm liking that so far. I'm just filling the trays with some specific seed starting mix. This one is Coast of Maine seed starting mix. This does have peat in it, which I would maybe like to look for a different mix going forward. See if I can find something that's peat-free. Peat is something that is harvested, I don't know too much about it, but what I do know is it's harvested from bogs in places in Europe. And it's a really important carbon sequester habitat, and you know, it's questionable how long it takes for those habitats to come back to the level after they're harvested, and you know, there's other options out there. Like some of my seed starting pellets that I use are the coconut coir. So I want to maybe look for something in that direction going forward. There's a potting mix that I like. I don't have the bag with me, but it is Burpee's organic potting mix, and I believe that does not have peat in it. It has the coconut coir instead. But that's not a seed starting specific mix. And because I'm still learning as I go, I was kind of focused on the seed starting label more than like reading the actual label. So, you know, do what you can do in the moment sometimes, and you just got to be okay with that and let the rest go, and then work on something for the next time. There's this great quote from Jenny Love, who's a flower farmer. I think her farm is Love and Fresh Flower Farm. But she had this epiphany that her farm was the work of a lifetime. And I thought that was such a great applicable lesson for literally everything, because man, parenting, health, self-care, learning, gardening, like it's all the work of a lifetime. We never get to a finish line. Honestly, there's always going to be the next thing. So just kind of enjoying the process. So I found that encouraging. What I have done so far with the other trays that I've done with this method is I have just put the mix in dry and then put the seeds in, and then bottom watered, so pouring the water in the tray, the bottom tray itself, and then letting it all soak up for about like 20 minutes or so. And it does, it's actually really interesting to watch. Like, this soil is like a sponge, you know, so all of a sudden it starts getting really moist. You start seeing that water disappear in the bottom, and that's been working pretty well so far. I've still been doing that watering method for all of my seedlings as well. So, you know, I pour the water in the bottom tray. I try to set a timer for about 20 minutes. Usually it's well soaked up before then, but these trays have deep channels. These bottom ones have deep channels, so sometimes there's still some water left in there, so I then pour any excess water off so that stuff doesn't get too soggy, because that would promote rot and fungus and other yucky stuff. So now I'm gonna start planting. Here we go. I always go back and forth with gloves when I'm doing seeds. Like, I like to touch the seeds because it feels hard to control where everything's going and picking up the seeds. But I'm definitely like a glove gardener. I don't know. I'd love to know your opinion on that. Are you a glove gardener or a bare hands gardener? I'm mostly glove. Okay. These are supposed to be 1/2 inch deep. So I found a little stick in my mix, and I'm just gonna use that to poke a little hole so I kind of get to that depth that I'm wanting to, and can just drop it in. It's so interesting doing all of this for the first time. I've seed started tomatoes and peppers and a couple flowers, but it's just a different mentality trying to switch over to this concept of doing things with the hope of selling them. It's a completely different mental shift, and honestly, it took me several days of planning to get it all figured out. Okay, so I'm so happy to have these bigger seeds to work with, because I've been using such tiny seeds for so much of the other stuff. So this is the white light sunflower seed. Okay, here we go. I'm just gonna set them on the surface and then Kind of poke them in my little holes I made after the fact. Okay, one tray done for putting the seeds on top. Shifting to my second tray. Here we go on this one. Now, I had no idea there were so many different options for sunflowers until I started looking into starting a flower farm. What I usually had experience with was, you know, the classic orange or the evening color fall one, but there's all these beautiful, I've actually grown a lemon one, which is this really cheery light yellow. There are so many options out there, and they're all so fun, and some are just so lovely for bright and cheery early summertime, and then there's dark moody red ones for the fall, and ones that are, you know, two-toned. There's just so much variety in gardening, and I think that's one of the fun things, because there can always be something new, even if it is a plant type that you have grown over and over and over and over again. Like, you never could run out of new things to try. So if you're someone that likes variety, gardening is a good for you. Okay, now I'm gonna just press them down a bit, make sure they're at the depth they need and covered with soil, and then we'll get these guys watered up. Okay, I'm gonna add water to these and cover them with plastic. I just do, what is it called? Cling wrap, saran wrap, yeah. Just that over the top and kind of tape it on the side so it doesn't come off. And then I take that off once 50% of these have started to sprout. Okay, all right, here's the water. I'm gonna just add it to the tray itself, and then we will wait a little bit, and the soil will start soaking this all up, and we'll be good to go. Make sure stuff is labeled. So I just use masking tape and put that on the side of my tray so that I do not forget what this is. A lot of my seedlings, I can tell what kind of plant it is, but this helps me specifically make sure I know the variety that I am doing. Okay, so you're starting to get moist on top here, which is great. Yeah, so everything's nice and moist. So I'm gonna dump the excess off of this one and get it covered. So this is the finished product. 132 sunflower seeds planted. There we go. Thanks for sticking around. I hope you enjoyed the video all about sunflowers, and please remember to like and subscribe.